By the end of this video, you'll be able to confirm the creation of your dependent sections and that all of your students are enrolled in the appropriate courses. Here's the situation. It's August. You and your administrative assistant have been successfully mass enrolling students into classes using dependent sections. Now you'd like to confirm that the magic of dependent sections has worked, that all of your classes were created, and that your students were properly enrolled, providing yourself with a little peace of mind. How can you go about doing this in a few simple clicks? Before I continue on, I'll remind you that if you need a hand with any of the procedures involving dependent sections and the enrollment of students, please visit the PowerSchool Admin YouTube channel and access the live side scheduling playlist, which offers videos on these topics. Please note that, for this demonstration, I'm using the 2014-15 school year in a school that is part of the training environment. For each of you, I trust that you are creating dependent sections and enrolling students in your next school year, 2015-16. It is crucial that you're always aware of what year you're working in. Now, the first option we're going to look at is if your school has decided to make the homeroom teacher a co-teacher for the specialty subjects, such as art, music, and phys ed. For this example, let's look at Mrs. Dryden, a grade 1 teacher in your school. You've created dependent sections for her and mass enrolled students into those sections. Beginning at the start page and looking to the left, under Functions, you'll see Teacher Schedules. Click on it. Choosing Mrs. Dryden from the list of teachers on the left will bring up her current teaching schedule. Again, remember that I'm in the 14-15 school year for this demonstration. If it's August, the term you would be working in is your current 2015-16 school year, and it would be listed here. Now, looking at her schedule, you're feeling good because you're seeing some reassuring things. First, there are 7 courses listed, including homeroom. Now remember, according to the Dependent Sections Excel workbook for grade 1 students, there should be these 7 courses listed. So, you're glad to see that. Secondly, you see the same section number all the way down the list. This is generally what you'd see because the homeroom teacher teaches his or her students most of their subjects. Section 3, in this example, travels as a cohort to each subject. It's important to note that Mrs. Dryden does not actually teach music and phys ed to her homeroom. These 2 subjects are taught by specialists. When the school decided that while the specialists would be the lead teachers, the homeroom teacher would be made the co-teacher. This is denoted by the co-teacher symbol shown here. Making the homeroom teacher a co-teacher for specialty subjects provides a quick and efficient way to check that dependent sections have worked properly. Note as well that the homeroom teacher, as a co-teacher, would also have access to the phys ed and music teacher's gradebook, so she can see the progress of her homeroom students in those subjects. Lastly, another good sign that your dependent sections and mass enrollment of students were successful is shown here. Seeing the same enrollment number for each course shows that the same cohort of 21 students is traveling from one subject to the next. So you should see the same number. Clicking the enrollment number will also show you a list of the students in each class if you'd like to confirm that way as well. Here's Mrs. Dryden's grade 1 class. If we click another class, notice it's the same students. Once again, Jim, it's the same students. All of this confirms that the dependent sections were properly created and students were correctly mass enrolled. A final tip before moving on. If your school chose to make the homeroom teacher a co-teacher for specialty subjects, keep in mind this tip when you look at a teacher's schedule using the matrix view. Return to the home page by clicking the PowerSchool logo. Click on the Staff tab, select Teachers, and choose Mrs. Dryden from the list. From the left-hand menu, choose Schedule Matrix. A matrix view of Mrs. Dryden's schedule will appear. Notice that it shows all the sections she teaches, as well as music and phys ed, where she is the co-teacher. Notice the filter at the top that indicates that the co-teaching sections are shown. Clicking on this button here will hide the co-teaching sections from view and show any prep periods that teacher may have. Now you see that her co-teaching sections of art and music are now hidden from view. Now, in this option, we will again look at Mrs. Dryden, but under the circumstance that your school has decided not to make the homeroom teacher a co-teacher for the specialty subjects. Again, you've created dependent sections for her homeroom and mass enrolled students into those sections. Beginning at the start page and looking to the left under Functions, again, you'll see Teacher Schedules. Click on it. Choosing Mrs. Dryden from the list of teachers on the left will bring up her current teaching schedule. Looking at her schedule, you now only see 5 of the 7 subjects listed. You see that the 5 subjects listed do indeed have the same section number and enrollment, as noted earlier. But you're probably asking yourself, where are music and phys ed? Well, don't panic. Trust me, the PowerSchool Genie has not let you down. Music Section 3 and phys ed Section 3 were indeed created during the dependent sections process. However, in this instance, Mrs. Dryden was not made a co-teacher. This means that she is no way associated with teaching these 2 subjects. To confirm that these 2 sections were created properly, return to the Start page and find the teachers who are teaching those subjects. In this school, Mr. Cleary teaches all the music classes and Mr. Knowles teaches all the phys ed classes. So let's look at Mr. Cleary's schedule. Again, click on Teacher Schedules, click on Mr. Cleary, and his schedule will appear. Notice that he teaches a Grade 1 Music section number 3 here. Note that the enrollment is 21 students as expected, as this is the same cohort of students in Mrs. Dryden's homeroom class. Clicking on the enrollment will again produce a list of Mrs. Dryden's homeroom students. There they are. This shows that Section 3 was indeed created for her students during the dependent sections process. Similarly, looking at Mr. Knowles' schedule, notice that the phys ed section number 3 is also listed with the same cohort of 21 students. Again, this confirms that both phys ed and music with the same section number were created during the dependent sections process. All 7 subjects for Mrs. Dryden's homeroom have now been accounted for, and all of her students are enrolled. Congratulations! You've successfully confirmed the creation of your dependent sections and that all of your students are enrolled in the appropriate courses. Your peace of mind has been completely restored.